Hello and welcome to our next episode in our reviews of the season 5 of the 100. We just got done watching episode 12, Damocles Part 1, which was an interesting episode. I really enjoyed parts of it, but there were definitely some parts that I did not enjoy. The CGI is probably the biggest one that comes to mind right at the beginning. Octavia
and Bellamy flying through the air.
I don't think they moved. They just kind of like spun around in a circle as a frame. It was really weird.
There were a lot more cheesy parts in this episode than have been in other episodes. Just a little.
There are definitely some lines that weren't so great. Towards the end, Octavia said her thing that she always says this season, and I'd liked it up until that point, but when she said...
It did seem a little contrived.
Yeah, like, what was it? Either you are... You are one crew or you're the enemy of one crew. It's like, these people don't know what one crew is. They've probably never heard that term before. They're like, okay, we're the enemies of one crew, I guess. Like, that was very strange, and there are definitely one or two lines that I can't think of right now off the top of my head that I did enjoy. But like, with that being said, I really enjoyed everything with Clark and Maddie. I think they put a lot of attention and effort into making those scenes work really, really well. I thought it was cool how Clark's situation where she's siding with McCreary to kind of protect her people is very similar to how Lexa protected the Grounders and in exchange for basically giving up the Sky Crew people long time ago. And it was great to see that Maddie was able to like help Clark learn a very important lesson there, like help her like come to terms with that and grow from that, because it's easy to like say somebody's wrong when you're on the other side of an issue and they were your enemy. You know, yeah, you made a mistake, but when you're in a similar situation, it's hard to not make that same mistake. And I thought that was a really good use of the Flame and that knowledge and that character, Maddie. I thought it was pretty cool at the beginning of the episode when the core cracked and Shaw was like, we gotta run, and Raven's like, I don't run. She just kind of like took it apart.
Yeah.
It was kind of cheesy, but I still liked it. Like, it was cool for her, and I really liked the gun and how it came into play throughout the episode with Murphy at the end, where he's like, did somebody call for a rescue?
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
He said some like Arnold Schwarzenegger line or something.
Yeah, say hello to my little...
Yeah, so cheesy.
It was pretty bad, but at the same time, I still enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't as bad as some of the other lines. It was just kind of cheesy, but very fun. That character is just great. I also liked at the beginning of the episode how they killed off Ethan, how they haven't really used him too much in this
I know, they were
season.
like, we gotta stop paying this actor. Get rid of him.
But it really drove the point home that Octavia's made a lot of mistakes, and I think it helped her kind of like make that sacrifice at the end of the episode when that kid died right after she said Jaha would be proud of you. It was just kind of like, well, he may have been, but like, is it worth it if he's just dead like that? I think you kind of made a mistake, and maybe you didn't learn the lessons you needed to from Jaha. And she'd probably agree with that looking back on it. She didn't like Jaha. She thought Jaha was a bit of a monster, and she just turned into that monster out of necessity. Like, being underground was kind of like being in the Ark, and in a lot of ways they had to make some tough decisions that nobody wants to make. So maybe she didn't learn the lessons that she should have from the past, and I think that is one of the like really strong selling points of the Flame, is that they have a lot of knowledge and people that are able to like get through to them in a way that most people can't. Just showing them the memory, having them relive it is a pretty effective way of passing down knowledge. At least in the lore of the show, it seems to work pretty effectively. Maddie gets it, and she's able to get through to Clark in a way that I don't think anybody else can. Like, not her mom, not Bellamy, nobody.
Yeah.
The stuff with Clark and Echo is pretty good this episode, I thought. Like, how they fought and then they exchanged their little lines with one another. I thought it was cool because it shows like how much Echo's grown over the seasons. She said some things that in there like that made me think of Bellamy and her time with Bellamy and all the others. So yeah, that was pretty fun stuff to see. How she was like, I don't know, she kind of like, she knew how to talk to her. She referenced One-Heda, but it wasn't like maybe the way she used to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was trying to like help out Clark by calling her One-Heda, and together I think her and Maddie were able to get through to her, you know? Like maybe Maddie wouldn't have been able to do it on her own. Maybe she would have, but Echo seemed to help out a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed seeing her turn on those grounders. I don't think the grounders would have been that stupid to just kind of like not pay attention to a person with a gun and like conversations going on around them.
Yeah.
They must have been just some pretty poor guards, or just who knows.
Yeah, they seemed a little out of it.
I wrote in my notes that I really liked when the one crew came back to the camp that Nyla said something about how this guy's gonna die. Let's just give his blood to Miller. Like that seemed like a very one crew type thing to do. And Nyla in the past was a very like, you know, almost innocent type character, or very caring, and that was, it seemed like a pretty brutal thing for her to just kind of say casually, and it was, I think, overshadowed by some other interesting things with, like, you know, Miller feigning and then Brell's saying stuff like,
yeah,
we're not going to follow you if you want to go into the gorge. Nobody is going to die for Blood Reyna. Seems like a pretty smart call if you ask me. She hasn't been the best leader, and they've only got like, what, 300 of them left now?
Mm-hmm.
They started with, I think, 600, 700 at the beginning of this season. So that's not good. I think they just lost half their fighting force in that fight.
Yeah. Bummer.
Something like that. I'm a little worried about Raven after this episode. I think the whole Shaw asking her to kill him might lead to her potentially thinking about killing herself off, but I don't see them actually going through with that, because they toyed around with that idea last season. But I am nervous about that whole situation.
I don't think they're gonna get rid of too many more main characters, because they've gotten rid of Kane and Gaia at this point.
Yeah.
They're pretty much...
I don't think Gaia's dead. I think the rover showed up in time.
Yeah.
And there's a chance
maybe.
that Kane's not dead. I think it'd be a pretty weak move on their part if they just didn't kill him off after that scene, because it was such a good scene. And if he's not dead, it really takes away from Vincent as a character. Vincent was such a great character this whole season. He's gotten close to Abby, but still been creepy the entire time.
Yep.
And just seeing how he approached Kane was really, really creepy and scary. And I think if he just was able to survive that as like a, you know, diplomat or whatever Kane is, it's a little bit less interesting, and it definitely has less of an impact on Abby, especially given what he said to her right at the end. Like, that's something that you'd imagine somebody say.
I forgive you, like,
in a
that's
movie.
like a dying
Yeah,
line.
like, he's like, I'm dying, I know I'm dying, here's what I'm going to say before I go, this is what I want you to remember for me.
Yeah.
And, like, if they don't kill him off after giving him those lines, it just seems really just pointless. Like, why spend the time on that when you could be doing other interesting things in this episode, like maybe spending more time with Murphy. I love Murphy, and I'd like to see a couple more lines with him.
Yeah.
What else happened? That whole scene with Clark and Maddie when they were talking about Lexa was very awkward. You know, like, it's very strange, that whole dynamic, but I do think it's done well. Like, how Maddie was able to reference lines that Clark said to Lexa, and to get her to, like, remember those lessons. I really liked the line about love is not weakness, and I also liked the line about how Clark was like, I love Maddie, you, more than I ever loved Lexa, because, like,
I don't know, I just, like, don't like the comparison they keep trying to draw between them, because it's, like, really creepy, like, mom to kid versus, like, you know.
And they're not actually related, which makes it almost, like,
it's weird.
almost, but not, like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because...
And, like, can Maddie with the thing, what is it, the flame, can she, like, see all of their stuff, or just what they want to show her? Because, like...
Well, she says every time I close my eyes, I see you, so I feel like it may not be under her control.
But then she was saying, like, that's what Lexa wants me to see, right? So it's like, But I don't know. It's kind of creeps me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot.
I think that they are aware of that. I'm pretty sure they're aware of that, and
I'm sure, but bleh.
I have a feeling that
like
after
it.
this season they may just separate them because of the awkwardness.
Yeah.
But it's
well, that's the
definitely...
other thing is that when she changed the passcode, maybe she'll take it upon herself to remove the thing. That could be kind of interesting.
I don't know what they're gonna do with changing the password, because now she's the only one that can remove it. The only way I could see this being a problem is if she's like knocked unconscious or like is unable to.
Well, that's why I think that maybe she'll be the one to like end the flame, you know?
For Clark's
because
sake.
she's the last one, right? She's the last Nightblood.
Natural Nightblood.
Could be kind of interesting.
Until Allegius 3 or whatever becomes a thing. Which is sounding like it may be rapid reproduction or some way to make children quicker.
It was
or
a plan, some kind of plan. Grow children quicker.
I think it's clones, or maybe like people grow up really quickly. Like it takes 3 years to get to teenage years, and then they're like an adult for like 10 years, and then they're dead type situation. Like they're just like really short-lived people, so they can become really efficient really quickly. And I'm not really sure what they're gonna do, but they haven't given us a whole lot to go off of, and it's exciting.
Haven't.
I think
they kind of need to, though, right? In this next episode, because it's the end.
Yeah, I think so. If they don't give us much, it's gonna be a little bit disappointing, especially with like this episode, because I was expecting a lot out of this one, and I think that it may have been that they were just saving a lot for next week's finale.
That seems to be a thing where they have double episodes. Like the first one is always like, what the heck?
Waste of a week, setting it all up.
Yeah.
Like, they've done really amazing finales in the past, so I'm pretty sure that's it. They're just kind of like everything that didn't feel right, didn't work well, was probably just all setting it up for a very interesting finale. Because everything else in this show, every previous finale has just been phenomenal. It's been like the best episode out of the entire season. And last week's episode felt like almost a finale level quality. It was just it was really fun, the whole dark year with the flashbacks and the way they built up the lore of the universe. So I'm hopeful, and I think we're gonna have a pretty cool finale next week. I don't know if there's anything else that I forgot to cover here. I did like that they gave that grounder lady a name, Brel. I didn't know what to call her before.
Come back.
I think she didn't die, so she's gonna be in the next episode. I think at least she's probably dying. Yeah, for one reason or another. I don't think she'll make it very long. She doesn't like Miller, so maybe she's gonna try and kill Miller and die in the process. That seems like a likely thing to me.
I hope Murphy and Amori get back together. They were making eyes at the end of there.
They seem to be indicating
Amori!
that.
I'm here for it.
It's definitely, I think that's more likely to happen than not. Like, I wanted Murphy and Raven, but Raven and
I didn't
Shaw.
want that. I like Raven and Shaw so much more. All the couples right now I'm like pretty into. Like, they've had some really bad couples.
Do you like Echo Bellamy, or do you think it would be better for them to change that up?
I just don't know who else. They would just give Bellamy some like random person like they did with that one girl. Remember?
It's probably Clark Bellamy. I think in the next episode
I don't
there's
think
gonna
they're gonna
be
make
some
her.
stuff.
I don't think that they're gonna make her go with Bellamy.
The whole fight between Echo and Clark this episode, even though it was about like survival and other things, I really did feel like it was over Bellamy. In a lot of ways, they felt like a lot of pent-up aggression towards each other because they both know Bellamy has feelings for them, for both of them. And even though he never has like had a relationship with Clark, I feel like he's felt like really strong feelings for her. But
maybe Clark will get with McCreary and it would just be insane.
No, please
Why
no.
not?
I don't know. That sounds weird.
Everything's game.
I don't know. I haven't really considered that.
Maybe Vincent will come back to life and kill Clark.
Finn's gonna get cloned. They're gonna find a way to bring him back. He's like zombie Finn. That'd be kind of fun.
I didn't like Finn or Finn or whatever.
I don't think very many people did like that character.
No. Well.
I think we've covered everything in the notes, right? Yeah, it was a fun episode. It wasn't their best one, but I still enjoyed it a whole bunch. And if you enjoyed this one, this review, don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We've got links to the social media profile in the description below. See you around for the next one.